Just open, it's a bit,
In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Law, I wish to state that on February 22nd, the notice of this budget meeting of the Upper Township Committee was posted on the official Township Bulletin Board mailed to the Cape May County Gazette, the Atlantic City Press, the Ocean City Sentinel, Ledger, the Herald Times, and filed with the Township Clerk's Office. Tonight's meeting is being video recorded up and will be available on UTTV, Channel 97, and on the Upper Township website. I hereby direct that the announcement be made upon the minutes of this meeting. We'll forego the Pledge of Allegiance for the regularly scheduled meeting. So Barbara, would you call the roll?
Mr. Barr?
here.
Mr. Cox?
Here.
Mr. Portion?
Present.
Mr. Young?
Here.
And Mayor Palumbo?
Here.
Mr. President?
All right, Mr. Coggins, we'll turn it over to you so we can continue this discussion on the budget.
All right, well, what I wanted to start off with is, since our last meeting, Barbara has had a chance to meet with Leon and speak with him about our revenues versus our budget requests. Barbara is going to walk us through where we left off, where we are now, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the target of where we need to go tonight.
Okay, all of you have the updated sheets in front of you, and basically, after having a discussion with Leon, what I did was go back and analyze our health insurance line. What was not taken into account was the employee deduction that I reimbursed back into the budget, the contribution from the employees. So that's a $200,000 savings. So that's reflected in the new worksheet. We did adjust some surplus. We did have to increase some surplus, the amount of surplus that we're using for the budget. What am I missing, John?
Okay, well, in truing up the surplus, okay, if we want to go true it up year over year, what we need to look for is in our overall O&E, we need to come up with about $72,000 to hit our target. Now, the target right now is looking like a 2.5 cent increase. We were at, we thought we were 3.25, but when Leon did his analysis, we were actually closer to 4. So in getting the employee contributions trued up, and then also the recommendation from Leon is that we do not use an increase in our surplus contribution this year. So what that's going to require is us finding about $60,000. That, and there were
72,000.
it was 72 total, but there was also 12 within the typical O&E that we had.
That's correct, and let me just, I did forget that element. As we went through the last budget workshop, there were a couple of requests. One was for beach access mats. We did increase that line by $2,000. There was also consultant fees for the engineer for our architect for Old Township Hall. There was $10,000 added into the budget for that. So that, we added $12,000 and then took away $200,000. So that gives us the $72,000 that we still need to cut.
Correct.
And we have to get it down to 2% for,
Well, no, we have to get to 2.5 cents. But that will-
It would be a 2.5% increase if we cut the
Percent or cent?
72,000.
2.5 cents
2.5 cent increase.
on the tax rate.
And if we cut the 72,000, that would give us the 2% within cap, to stay within the cap.
All right, so kind of picking up where we left off, just running through here. Community center, we're basically flat year over year. We're looking for $48,000 in operating. For the construction official, we have a difference of $42,548. Now, part of this was $3,000 in our annual salary increases. The balance of it was also an employee. He only worked part of the year last year and will be working a full year in this budget.
And there's also one element in here that I didn't note in the description that I should have. The large increase in operating expenses for the construction is to handle the
condemned properties
condemned
that were
properties.
in the process.
So that's a large element of the increase for the construction official budget this year.
But that 30,000 is coming back in this form of liens when we put them on the property.
That's
You
correct.
still have to sell,
But we have to put it in the
Lien has to be
budget.
settled to be paid.
Budget for
Yeah,
it.
Because you're not necessarily going to see that revenue.
it might be 2 years.
Could be 2 years, 3
might be
years.
more than that.
Could be
Yeah,
longer than that. And that would probably cover, about 4 structures. And Dory's been working on, I forget his list, but you're up over 6 or 7, I think.
Yeah, we got about 7.
Is that
So this does not-
administrative?
this does
costs? Administrative cost plus the tear down
well, he's,
or the removal?
yeah,
This is really just covering the demo, the removal costs.
well, he's actually been very efficient on getting some of these places boarded up, cleaned up and all that. And Dory, you should be commended for that because that's one thing we asked you to do and you've been very good at doing that.
So, I mean, just so the committee knows, the funds that we've put in the budget would not complete his entire list that he's been working on today.
But
It's
a help.
It's to help and we're
It's
moving
projected.
towards. Yes.
How many places do you have on your radar?
Also,
7.
I mean, he's had some of them. So he's talked to the property owners and they've cleaned
Some
them up.
property owners are doing it themselves though, right?
Yes, some have. Like the one that's south of 9 and 50, they took the initiative and cleaned that up themselves, which is a good thing.
Okay, anything else on the construction official?
Dory, you guys were looking for a, yeah.
Fire.
I was just asking for $1,000.
I just went round on beat, so. A copier for the office.
Yes.
All right. We put that in there, John?
Do we have something in there for that?
Yes.
So you've got that in the budget already? Okay.
That's it.
Got it. All right, for our zoning official, we're relatively flat. There's a difference of about $1,000 in the spend last year and the budget for this year. Same thing with the planning board. Our spend was a little bit down last year. We've had some salary increases and we had some money transferred out in the 2018 budget. So that's where you have the variance of 4,500 spend versus budgeted. Same thing applies for the zoning board. Celebration of public events remains the same. We're budgeting $25,000. Have we got any ideas yet for the price of fireworks?
Yes,
That's tonight in closed
That's a
session,
closed
that's
session.
contract
Okay.
negotiation.
Will we need to add to this line item?
No, I think we're okay.
No, we
Okay.
covered that.
Yeah, I think we are too. And this doesn't include any sponsors we get, so.
Okay, accumulated absences is flat. Drug and alcohol testing is flat year to year. Street lighting expense, Paul, looks like we're pretty close on that. I mean, we had some additional expense last year that we didn't bargain on.
Well, I mean, it just goes, if the committee authorizes new streetlights to be installed, that's where the new installation comes in.
Do we currently have any outstanding requests? Anybody aware of?
There's one that we're looking at, we're doing, while I was away, the committee had asked to look at some, the corner of Summers Avenue and Seagrape, I believe it was. I forget.
I know it was on Summers.
But it was on Summers Avenue, one of the side streets off of Summers Avenue. I've requested a price to do some upgrades in that area to see if that would help improve the lighting, and I'm just waiting for that to come in. So I don't know what those costs would be, but what we have for the installation proposed I think should be more than covered. I don't think it'd be half of
Right, so we're good with that number?
that. Yes.
All right, our insurance line, we've pretty well discussed what we've done there. We went from a variance of, I believe it was 400 and, where did I have that?
472,000.
It was 472, we're down to 272. Deferred charges, we are a little bit less than we were last year. Our Statutory expenditures, again, we are about 35,000 higher, and that primarily is the anticipation of some additional employees, and those
Well,
statute...
No, this is actually, it's just our PERS number, our pension number that has increased, and you pay from prior years. So this is just, we get the number from pensions every year, and it's what we have to pay April 1st. It's due April 1st of every year, and
It's a calculated number.
it's calculated by the state, and that's this is the employer portion of the employee's contributions to the pension system.
And our reserve for uncollected taxes remains the same.
Well, I just plugged that number into the current. We don't know that reserve, but it'll be it will remain about the same.
Okay.
Going back to deferred charges there, we have the capital improvement fund, and then we have the capital contribution to beach replenishment. How much do we have in that account, roughly?
We have in the beach?
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you both. The capital improvement fund, we have about $106,000. And the beach fund, we have about $425,000. And you need about $50,000 for every million that you bond.
Okay, but the beach job, yeah,
Yeah, but we're gonna probably need some money, because if things work out the way they said, the Army Corps is supposed to come in sometime 2019, like the fall. And we'll have our percentage that comes off of what the state is, right?
well, we're in a unique position where we can write a check for ours, because we have the 425.
Well, I don't know that that's gonna cover it.
Well,
Yeah.
we also have, we still have funding available in two prior authorizations for beach replenishment, our 2008 and our 2011. I've spoken to bond counsel, I've spoken to Leon about it. Those funds are available. We probably have about $750,000, $800,000 available. in
Beyond
those
this?
accounts. Beyond, yes.
Beyond the 425?
Yes. So depending on where, and I've been talking to Paul, but depending on where he feels our costs are going to come in, right now he's estimating between $500,000 and $1 million. We may have enough funding, if we're on the lower side of it, we may have enough funding in those two authorizations to pay for it out of those, rather than to bond something new, or...
I mean, we're looking for 72,000, I'm trying to find 40 real quick here.
It's not gonna be,
I see where you're going.
it's not gonna be a total replenishment like we experienced like 5 years ago.
I would not, because I'll say, south of Tecumseh, the beach is in very good shape. And from Tecumseh to Williams, there's some marginal losses, but the real losses from, obviously, Williams to Seaview.
So
And then on
it's
to
going to be
National-
like a maintenance deal then?
It's gonna be a meet.
So so it's 65-35 for the federal part, the state picks up the 35%, and we have 25% of the 35%? Is that how it was?
We have, well, it'll be a 50-50 split with the federal and then the local state. And then out of the 50%, we'll pay 25%.
So we pay 25 and 50.
But whatever goes in the state natural area, they pay 100%.
Correct, yeah, that's not part of our portion.
Yeah. So if it's $1 million project, or a $4 million project, $2 million of it might go to the state natural area.
Well, I mean, and just so the community is aware, how I have estimated that 500 to $1 million, because of the big range, I've taken, the federal government has allocated $12 million for the whole project. So that's over 3 towns, Ocean City, Strathmere section, and Sea Isle City. So if we get a full third of that allotment, that's kind of what I've based the numbers on the high end. I don't think that number is going to be on that high end, because that doesn't even account for the state portion that they have to pay in the state natural area, but I'd rather estimate high so that from a planning standpoint, we know we have enough money to do what the project is going to be. So $1 million's on the very high side, so it's probably going to be, $750,000 or less.
And so we have 700,000 in bond, and we have 400 something, so we have $1.1 million now.
And that should be more than enough to cover our share for this, right?
Well, I guess my my question here is, and we almost ran into it last year, if we do have some severe storms where we have some significant beach erosion, we could possibly get into a situation where we would have to self-fund that, correct?
Well, I mean, here's the thing we have to keep in mind, that we're planning for a potential, beach replenishment, okay? But right now, the Trump administration is talking about taking money from the Army Corps to do the wall, or whatever you want to call it. And the point is we're anticipating this to happen, we're anticipating that it's funded, but we're not 100% sure. And I don't think we can afford not to have some sort of access pool. Curtis was on, when I was on, and Paul, when we had to do that $800,000 project on the state property just to protect the homes that were there, because the state wasn't going to do anything.
And the good thing is we had this perpetual fund.
We did, and that's why, I'd be leery not to keep putting in some kind of money on it.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a prudent thing to do. I don't know if, maybe get something from there, but maybe not necessarily the whole 40.
That's fine. I mean, as long as we have a decent amount of cash reserve for an absolute emergency where, we have in the past trucked in sand, although it wasn't too successful, we might have to bring in some rocks or whatever if.
Now, the good thing is this cycle that's here is not our normal renourishment cycle. It's actually the south end of Ocean City's renourishment cycle. So our renourishment cycle actually is in another 2 years. So if the beach fill happens now, which will clean out the inlet, and we've seen by the past 3 beach fills we've done, that inlet, if it's staying open, lasts a good 2 to 3 years. We're in that 3-year time period from when the last beach fill was. That's that other 2 years, I think we'll be in good shape, as long as the funding stays there from the federal
Right.
government.
So that's we hope that it will, but there's a lot of things that could play in motion that could change that forecast of when this is going to be done. So.
Well, the project Ocean City starting, that's already been funded and
Well, they're also doing the north end of Ocean City, which is a separate funding package.
but
Because ours is tied to the Ludlam Island project, which is south of
which
Ocean
is already
City.
funded, right?
For this year, for this replenishment in 2019, it's funded.
Yeah, this is funded.
Right,
It's
but-
not going towards the wall, it's going towards the beach.
All well and good, but such funds can somehow be exited and brought into another area if need be in an emergency. So I just think that if all goes well, that's great, but we really need to plan in the event that nothing does take place.
Well, would everybody be comfortable with reducing that fund by 10,000?
I'm okay with that, because that still keeps us over 400, right?
Well, that'll get us to 455? If we put 30 in?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so there's,
So we have 425 now, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
so you're gonna take 10 out of there. Okay, so you're still looking for 62,000.
All right. One of the things I've seen, kicked around here, and, maybe Roy can shed some more light on it, but we have received an estimate from a landscaping company. And what that estimate is for would be handling the landscaping of some of our public areas, Town Hall, front part of Amanda's Field, if I'm not mistaken, the Tuckahoe train station. Community Center. Now,
Does that include the Gandy House?
okay, so my thought, I'm sorry, Roy?
Senior center.
Senior Center. And right now, we've got a full-time employee who is basically assigned to doing a lot of those tasks. Now, one of the things that we have budgeted into our head count for the year are 3 additional heads, which, is partially replacement. if we were to go with this estimate, take it out to bid, and we'd be looking at, basically $48,000 or less to get this done. The balance of an employee for a year, plus the
Benefits.
insurance benefits, plus the Social Security benefits, we would pick up about $56,000. So what that would do would be, that would give us an additional $8,000 in our budget.
And
Now, what-
put somebody back in the workforce
No,
full time.
right, what we have is we have an employee who's just dedicated to this, he would go back in as a regular full-time laborer in the labor pool. And the other thing is too, this, we're talking about a savings of $8,000 this year. As we get into next year, when we're budgeting for a full year's wages, that $8,000 would probably be more like an additional $12,000 or $15,000 in our operating expenses. And then with that, we would also be looking down the road further, reducing our potential legacy costs for benefits, healthcare, retirement.
Well, the thing is, and this is one estimate, which,
It would have to be bid.
Yeah, we have to go out
and this
to
is
bid.
just giving us a reference where to go.
Correct.
Somebody might come in significantly less.
Yeah, and it probably also does not include paying prevailing wages.
What's that?
Which
It probably does not include prevailing wage rates.
would be
would
required,
be-
anything over 15.1 has to be prevailing wage.
Okay. The nice thing about, and I'm not saying it's a deal breaker or not, but the nice thing about that is, like the round town hall here and all, that could all be done on a Saturday or Sunday when we're not in business, or we're not open.
It would be up to the contractor.
Yeah.
And this includes any seasonal flower shrubs, replacements, everything, so.
It's only labor.
So the
We
only
do-
thing that we would be
Provide
doing would
supplies.
be, that on the holidays, we'd be putting up lights and that kind of stuff.
Now, the other thing is too, when we also considering this, this is bringing a person in at the time of year when Public Works is probably at their busiest. We have all of our parks active, it's the summer season, scrap mirrors at, full tilt. So there's a little bit more of a demand on the Public Works resources. So what this is this is putting an employee who is doing what you might call essentially a seasonal job into the workforce on a full 12-month basis.
Well, I would think that it's certainly worth consideration and it's certainly worth a try, to see how it works out. We really wouldn't know how well it works out until we actually try it.
We've got
Yeah, I think-
to get through a season with it.
I think other towns have done it. I think it's been successful by privatizing some of these tasks, and I'm 100% behind it, John. I think we gotta look further into it and
Yeah, I agree with that.
see what we can do. We gotta start freeing up our people to
Even though we had
some of
somebody
the other jobs.
doing this, he's pulled off quite regularly to fill our spots. So it's not like we have a full-time person doing the landscape.
You have municipalities like Avalon, other municipalities who have done it.
Right, they've done everything. And this is a good test. It's an opportunity to say, okay, this is something that's either going to work for us or it's not. But, at the minimum, it's going to give us the full abilities of one employee doing other things.
That's right.
So that,
I'm all for looking forward to go get bids on this and whatever we have to do next step. And our guy's done a good job, an adequate job for not being a landscaper.
no, it's not a reflection on the person who's doing the job. What it is, it's a way to, to reallocate our resources.
In order for us to get him to this caliber of what we have here, we would have to hire him full-time people
Right.
to maintain all this. So, for a one-man show, he's done okay.
So what we had, just so, you know, we're all kind of in step when it comes to the head count for the year, we had basically budgeted for 3 additional people, and by additional people, I don't mean more people in the workforce, I mean replacing some people.
Replacing.
So with this, we will be replacing 2 of the 3 and adding a third-party contractor.
So
Very
of
sorry.
the 3 that remains, we originally had 5, right?
But we've hired 2.
I know, okay, so we've hired 2, interview and hire another 2.
Hired another 2.
Okay.
Is there any room in here, just in case for seasonal, if we get down to the spring where we need, or we do anything with seasonal work?
There's nothing in for seasonal at this point.
Yeah, I think we need to do something for some seasonal, because the unforeseens of the weather, you know, being able to get on the fields and do different things, and I think Bill will back me up on that. A lot of times, we just get blasted time frame wise, where we don't have the manpower to keep up. And, you know, when the grass gets to be a foot tall before we can weed whack it, it takes us 3 or 4 times longer to do it, plus to clean up. And to have a couple seasonal guys that can handle that part and stay on those issues would be, you know, really helpful, especially with the projects that we have going on too.
Okay, well, for, you know, here's what we're looking at. I'm not trying to argue with you, but we're looking to pull 72,000. So far, we found 18 of that, based on going forward with this plan. Now, if you add 2 seasonal people, you're gonna be adding another 40,000 back in.
That's right.
So, you know, instead of 72, we're gonna be looking for 112. So,
Yeah, I saw this year and last year, and it became quite a nightmare trying to keep up with things. I understand the numbers,
yeah, no,
but I also understand the complaints I get with people that are looking at our facilities and saying, whoa, this is substandard for Upper Township. And then, you know, it's not fair to the workers at the same token. So I just think we need to look at someone having to do something that, the additional help. And what, your feelings on seasonal?
I think if we hire 2 more, I think we'll be better off than we were last year.
I mean, 2 more, yeah. I mean, if you need seasonal, what do we do?
Well, you can hire 1 and 2 seasonals then, or if you were looking for 3 people for the summer, or just for 2 full-timers, that's what it boils down to.
yeah, 1 full-timer and 2
Yeah,
seasonal.
that's not gonna help us. That won't help. We're talking 3 months over, you know, over 12, so 9 months we're gonna be inadequate with our manpower.
I say let's hire, you know, go with this plan, hire the 2 people, and, you know, if we run into issues, we'll have to reevaluate and figure something out, but right now, let's just stick with this plan.
have a fucking thing where they can come send people over and like clean up.
That's fine, as long as we keep our eyes open to what might be
Yeah.
necessary.
All right.
My only thing is to make sure we're thinking down that road in case. Thank you.
Can we look into that?
And so we still need how much more?
Well, we're,
$54,000.
yeah, there's programs out there. Even if we get them to pick up trash. Even if they pick up trash, it frees up a guy. No, we can get them once a week.
Barb, your possession is back. Just back, or,
If you don't want it, I'll take it.
just asking.
You wanna give it your phone number, Barbara? Mention that, that's $500 in your disclosure.
John, the other thing, I had a call that soccer needs 2 more sets of goals, and I don't think we have anything in the budget towards that. Who's appreciating wear and tear and. the number of-
Barbara, on,
Yes.
on the Board of Health, we put 20,000 for other expenses, that's for immunizations?
That's correct.
Do you think we're gonna need that much money for that?
That's what was budgeted last year that we never got to, so I believe we're going to need the full $20,000 for each patrol and EMS employees.
I wonder if we can get a head count on that.
last year. I don't know if I carried those notes into this year or not.
This is where you need to just, this is where you need to look at the line items in here and see what you got.
I mean, I obviously don't need names or anything, I just kind of want a head count of who needs booster shots, and, you know, I realize new hires are gonna need immunizations, but potentially, or at least being offered them.
Do you have any idea, Chief? A possible breakdown of how many need what?
Work 41 require TBI.
Okay, so both, okay. And that's why we anticipated the amount that we did. Okay.
And this was for HEP.
HEP
And TB. I think it was 125 a person, which included the 3 vaccines for
Which is it? Where's that?
and TB as well.
Page 1.
And Paul, why did we add 20,000 to the shore monitoring, shore protection?
There was
Well, more than
10,000. There was 2 reasons.
You had wanted.
Even the
you
green team,
wanted,
they spent $35 last year,
Matt
they're asking for $4,000.
Extended a little further down, so we said we'd add 2,000 and do 3 of them as opposed to 5 shorter ones.
There's also contingency in there, if you want to squeeze out Dr. Farrell's contingency.
Right, yeah, so, well, all right, I'm looking, I don't know what page I'm on here, but on the shore protection, we had, it was 25, last year we spent 25,000. We had 39,000 budgeted, and then and for the contract, which is a, you know, that's almost almost $15,000.
Right, which you could take.
And then there's 20,000 for other operating. What is that?
The 20 was beach mats.
Oh, that's the beach mats?
Beach mats.
Why is it in there? That's not shore protection.
That's what
That's
we've always,
where-
that's where we've always paid for that
That's
type
where,
of thing.
yeah, that's where it's budgeted, where we do sometimes green fencing through this line.
Right,
And I mean, and that's
So
actually,
I'm okay with that, because that's what we're gonna do, okay,
but that's actually a luxury, because it's something we don't need, because we actually we meet ADA requirements.
But if,
Curtis,
the,
I'm not gonna go.
Dr. Farrell's proposal is 30,000, his base is 30,000, there's 9,000 for contingency survey and for attendance at meetings. So, you know, if you wanted to take 9 out of there, you'd have to
what's-
rely on other budget accounts if you needed him to go out and either take a look at the beach or come to the committee to make a presentation.
So what's the next line, the beach protection that's under that?
That's for the mats, the beach access mats, the $20,000 that you.
No, I'm talking about the next line item.
The beach protection.
That would be like
That's beach patrol.
With
That's
beach patrol.
That's,
Okay, getting back to here, Paul, I'm looking under the engineering thing. Last year we spent $7,600 on consulting. This year we budgeted $160,000.
Yeah.
Refresh me.
That's covering, we put in the 10,000 to finish the architecture, because we transferred that architectural cost from last year to this year.
Okay.
Because of the change of the consultant. And then the other costs are for wastewater management planning, if we want to move forward with the Mulmora sewer options, the Back Bay flooding issue, and coming up with some
So
options.
how much do you have for that one more thing?
For the wastewater management thing and the redevelopment plan in Mulmora, I had 50.
50,000? I mean, I'm not so certain we're gonna need that this year, the way things are going, so I'm thinking you can at least pull 10,000 from there, keep 40 in there.
And what's Back Bay, what do you have earmarked for that?
100?
100?
Yes.
now that's something that's potentially reimbursable, although we still have to put that would be our share?
That'd be our share, yeah. I had applied for a grant and we didn't receive it.
Okay, got it.
We didn't receive it?
We did not.
Okay, can we,
So could that be something that could be put off?
we're looking for $54,000,
Sure, I mean, yeah, anything, I mean,
basically.
I mean, we made it's whether or not you want to, how quickly you want to address coastline flooding and
Well, what I'm saying is, we're looking for $54,000. If we take that $150,000, and we take the $54,000 out of there, can we get this ball rolling? And we can pay half consultant this year and half next year?
yeah, we can get it rolling, yes.
There we
Well,
go.
let's, one of the things we can do here.
Let's take the $54,000 out of there and be done with this.
We can take it slow instead of doing it all at once.
I mean, I understand where Paul's coming from. He applied for a grant, we didn't get that grant, but we still have
40, oh,
$100
they got
grand
some
sitting in the
food
bank for that project. And, by the time anything starts rolling, it's probably gonna be the fall.
Well, I mean,
So, I
my
mean, then we're
point
into
is.
another budget year.
Right.
Yeah.
And if we had to, and we were put in that position, we certainly could consider some other issue, bonding or something. I mean,
That's right.
Because we're anticipating the opportunity, and let's hope that we get that opportunity, but the reality is if we don't, that could help us in the, at least in the present. And, down the line, we're gonna have a decent enough warning to figure out how we're gonna make this work.
I mean, in October, if we hire a consultant for $25 or $50,000, and we only have 25 budget, and we can say, we're gonna pay the rest next year, and they're probably gonna be okay.
Well, we're supposed, if we contract.
I mean, the thing is, where we're gonna run into a problem is if we have to have a matching fund that we've agreed upon, where we have to match it.
But we haven't agreed upon anything yet.
Right, this
We don't even have
would be
anything
for
in
us
the
doing the project
pipeline.
without going out for, yeah.
And I can tell you the Back Bay thing, it wouldn't be a stretch to take it out of our shore protection beach fund.
That's right.
That's not a stretch, because it's shore protection. We didn't say what shoreline we said we're protecting in our thing, did we? And we can actually use it on Harbor Road, probably.
That might be a real stretch.
I'm trying to help you, John.
The other thing I see here too is, with the Economic Development Commission being somewhat inactive at this point, we could pick up 5,000 there, leave it at 2,500 in the event that we do get a little bit of activity or a little bit of interest generated in that again, and, pull an additional 5.
You lost me there, John.
You're
right.
saying economic development, we have what, budgeted 15,000?
We've budgeted 7,500.
Okay.
So reduce that to 2,500. That's under mayor and committee.
I'm okay with that. Last year was 6,200, but that included, we made flyers and stuff, right?
Yes.
You're still looking for 51.5, right? No.
Yes, 51.5.
All right, didn't we just talk about consultant?
Yeah, I thought that's where you were going to take.
Yeah, that's what I thought we were
I
gonna,
think that's what we ought to do.
We were gonna, economic development, take it down to 2,500, so that would give us 5.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, you're right, that's 5,000.
So we're down to 49 now.
We're down to
Now you got the
49.
consultant, and 50 done.
Can we take 50 out of consultant and we're done?
If that's what you'd like.
I mean, I think we can, because I don't think we're going to see anything through fruition, and it's not a stretch. Back Bay, there's more focus on Back Bay than there is on Ocean. Now, with our shore protection money, I don't think it's a stretch to use it on the Back Bay. It's all protecting the same island.
Yeah.
Wait, with the T-ball fields, we're not going to start on them for a while anyway. Is this something we could hold off on until next year's budget? We had Tuckahoe
We
Field.
have in there, some of the projects we have in there already.
Yeah, it's marked in here for Amanda's Field, T-ball fields and drainage for the new building. Yeah, I'd like to see us hold off on constructing those until we get some of these other projects 100%. We had the 2 fields in Tuckahoe we can utilize, so we don't have to put anything out for that.
I mean, how much do we have budget for
So I'm
them?
just looking for a way to help out a little bit, and that's about the only place I can say it.
I mean, no, don't we have space out at Amanda's for T-ball?
We still have to build the fields.
Well, Hobie, how
So if we're gonna
much?
start maintaining what we have, why don't we just build the field? Well, I mean, I don't know what kind of money.
How much do we have budget for building the field?
$1,000 to finish the fencing and all the people.
And I'm not saying okay, you have the money budgeted. We might not have the manpower to do it ourselves, but if we have the money budgeted, we can sub it out. I mean, just because we have a budget, it doesn't mean we need to
We could
build
do
it.
that too.
If I had to cut something, that's where I would probably take it at, because we took the fields were already constructed.
I mean, because if we're gonna throw manpower out there to maintain something that we're gonna be moving,
Yeah, 'cause I don't think we're gonna have time to get to these for this spring anyway, so.
Well, I don't see us building the ball field before spring either. But what I'm saying, if it's in the budget and our guys don't do
Well,
it
that's fine.
themselves,
I'm
I
just
mean,
saying,
I'd keep it there and let's get some prices on somebody doing it
Throw
for us.
5,000 or something back into the kid
Yeah.
to help out, you know?
So reduce the 20 to 15.
What do you think there, Superintendent?
We're gonna take it down to 200, take 20 out.
So if we took, it would take you down to, from Amanda's Field to 15 for the T-ball fields and the drainage pipe in between the new building.
So you'd be taking your 220 down to 215.
You're either gonna build with the 20, or you know what I mean, it's.
Well, you're not gonna.
Yeah, again,
That's fencing.
Why do you have the fencing out in Steve-ball? They don't need a backstop. They're in ball of the tee, so what do they need a backstop for?
Well, it's not much of a backstop anyway, it's just straight up, it's not.
yeah, no, it's a smaller size. I mean, you know, and we still got the fencing we gotta put down both sides. So,
That's what a lot of that is all fencing.
yeah. Again, I'm just looking at,
We had the answer, we had the thing done.
I'm just looking at this as tight. You know,
Well, if you could, let's put it this way, if you could save 5,000 on fencing and put some of the fencing up this year and then some of the fencing up the following year.
Well, I think,
I thought we got to where we needed to be anyway.
well, if we are, then
Well,
I'll take my offer back.
yes.
you already offered it, too
We're
bad.
trying to help you here, Hobie.
That's fine, I was just trying to be a team player.
Oh, Hobie,
John, did
leave
we
it
get,
in there. If we can't do it ourselves, let's get a subcontractor to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, leave it in there.
did we meet the number that we want to get to?
Are we at the number you wanted?
Okay, then let's leave them in there.
We're there.
We're there.
Roy seems to think we can finish that project this year, Hobie. Let's leave it in
Need to
there.
go.
Be nice to put closure to it.
I'll rescind.
Wow.
so we're going to reduce engineering by 50.
Now we're gonna, the consulting.
Consulting.
That's under,
It's a line item.
Somebody hit him or something? Wake him up. I wasn't offering my guy.
Barbara, I want
That's
to
something else we
compliment
should
you
report
on the Excel sheets and everything that was put together, John, your input as well. It's made it very easy to go through this process.
Definitely much easier.
Thank you.
it was John that suggested we kind of,
I mean, I appreciate it. It's really been a lot, it's been a lot more informative and a lot easier to understand, you know, each line item as to where the money's being allocated to.
As, the plan is to, as we go forward, is to standardize on this format. And what we'll be able to do is we'll be able to roll in new years and hide the columns for the prior years. So if you really want to start looking at a trended type of forecast, you'll be able to do that.
So right now, if everything remains the same, we're at a 2.5 cent increase. And what does that extrapolate out to the average taxpayer for $300,000 homes?
well, I haven't figured that out exactly. The average assessment is $279,000, up just a little bit from last year. 1 penny equals 100, no, I'm sorry, those are last year's numbers. The average assessment is $280,000, up a little bit. And it's about, 1 penny equals about $187,000 on the tax rate.
It's, in terms of what what the average homeowner would be seeing as an annual increase on their tax bill would be $69.75.
And really, the bulk of that is to increases in premiums for insurance and some salary increases. It really hasn't, and it really isn't to operations at all.
No, it's not. I mean, operations has done a tremendous job of not only hitting their goals in the prior period, but also in looking forward, making the necessary adjustments.
And the big thing is, we've actually replaced manpower, which will help us provide better services, I think, from rescue to public works to recreation. So hopefully,
Yeah, we're getting a lot of bang for our buck here.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, all right, so, I mean, let's just say we're comfortable with where we're at. But the next step would be that we would launch this next meeting,
Correct.
and then it will be, what,
March 11th, and then I believe it's April
like the first
8th.
week in April, the first meeting in April?
I believe it's April 8th is our meeting that we would be slated to introduce it.
So Leon will join us and participate in that meeting.
I already have Leon on standby for March 11th for introduction of the budget.
back to 40 grand. Can, well, we took 10,000 out of shore protection.
Yes.
If we're gonna use that to pay the other one, maybe we should put the 10 grand back and lower the consulting fees and the engineering a little bit, or just another 10. It doesn't matter, I guess that's,
Yeah, it's.
It's gonna be 6 to 1.
If we've got to pull it from that account, we're going to have to pull it anyway, so.
yeah. The thing I like about the shore protection account, it's a revolving account that we don't get back into. So if we didn't spend it, it would be there for next year. But
So, we're at 10 of 7. I don't know, is there any other input that anybody wants to add for the good of the meeting? If not, then I would suggest that we entertain a motion to adjourn. We'll have a half-hour break between now and the regular scheduled meeting, and then we'll go forward with the introduction of the budget at the next meeting.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, so I guess recapping, so we're all on the same page here, what we have done to get our $72,000 pickup that we had to find in order to stay with a 2.5 cent tax increase. We took $10,000 from budgeted beach replenishment. We took $8,000 by privatizing the landscaping duties and taking that full-time employee and repurposing him to other matters. We've taken $5,000 from economic development, and we've taken $50,000 from engineering consulting.
John, I know I just mentioned it, if we could take 60,000 out of engineering consultant and put the 10 back into the beach, because if we don't use it, that'll keep our beach fund going forward.
I think it's a prudent thing to do. I
That's
mean, are we,
And that way, because if we use if we use the consultant fee
We can
for the
always
back
take
bay,
it
we can take it from the beach
but if we
replenishment
don't
fund.
spend it, we've
And
got it.
it's a growing account.
Yeah.
It doesn't get, it's not gonna get absorbed somewhere else, they're not gonna get budget transferred, it's gonna be there and be for future beach replenishment, or consulting for beach replenishment, or back bay.
all right, so I agree with that. I think it makes sense. Hopefully,
Take that off your chest, too.
hopefully Paul doesn't have a nervous breakdown.
I think Paul's in agreement with me there on that one.
No, I think that's a wise thing to do. So we are at $8,000 landscaping, economic development 5, 64, engineering consulting. All right, and then we'll go forward with this on our budget.
All right. You want to make a motion to adjourn the workshop?
So moved?
Second?
Would you call the roll?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggin?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
And Mayor Palumbo?
Yes. We'll take, I guess what amounts to be a 35-minute break before the start of the regular scheduled meeting. Right.